Life changes on a daily basis. Every minute, every hour, still we try to save it. But I gotta keep moving and making. Happy cause Lord knows life is crazy. Life changes on
Fuck it, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Bo Burnham special.
Well, people look at.
Let's do it, because I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not my humor. I got 25 minutes in, and I turned it off. And I've never really been a huge fan of him, so can you guys explain to me, like, why you enjoyed it?
I'm not a fan of him really either. Like, I heard it was coming out, so I was with people, and they played his old shit, and I was like, I don't think that stuff's funny. It's creative.
Right. Very creative. Very talented dude.
Very talented. Yeah, it's just not my humor, like you say. And then I tried watching it. I was like, oh, it's going to be like that. But I didn't expect it to take that turn. It was like one of the most real things. It's more like a documentary with what do you call it? Like humor, with like relief.
Satire.
Comic relief.
Yeah,
It's like very serious, and then like he'll do a funny, silly thing. And then like he'll wake up like in bed, and you could just see him like, fuck, another fucking day. Like we've all felt like. There's been days I woke up and like, this shit again, you know, it's just so fucking wrong. And just his talent. I mean, he's by himself. He's just stepping on the lights. The lights are changing and like his face in the background. He's just doing everything by himself. Like it's like a masterpiece, if you will. Scott, just fuck the beginning of it, but like watch like
you can't say that. Like
no,
you
but
can't
I mean,
say that.
I'm saying more like it's like if you don't think he's funny, I'm not saying fuck it like fast forward, but like whatever, get through that part. But the like 35 minutes on is like a documentary movie. Like it's really fucking good.
But this is the thing. Me and Scott were kind of talking about this before we came on. I think with Bo Burnham, it's more of like a like people make connections to certain things. Like he's a guy that deals with like depression and things like that, anxiety, social anxiety. So like somebody who's depressed will watch that special and they'll look into it and they'll be like, wow, somebody's actually expressing the way that I feel inside and I can't do it like that. So they're immediately attached to this person because now they understand. It's like you're speaking the same language, like with what Erik just said. Like he didn't immediately take away like the depression and things like that. What he took away from it was what it felt like to be alone during quarantine and how the whole thing starts at a high with him like funny shit. Okay, I'm going to be satirical. I'm going to be ironic. And then it just turns and goes down. So it's like as time went on, he just got worse. And like so did the material, not in the literal sense like, oh, it sucked, but like how dark it went. So like Erik immediately connected to that because he had those emotions. He had that like that roller coaster of it. So when he connects with that, he gets it and says, oh, wow, this is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
See, for you, like you said, like you're more of a Carlin, Jim Norton, you know, style comedy. So like that humor, if you're not getting that humor from this guy, you have no connection with it outside of that. So it wouldn't be something that you would find entertaining. But like with what Erik was saying about him literally doing everything, like the guy.
That's impressive. Like I'm not taking that. I find like that's part of the reason why I like the Streets, like the London Garage Band, like because Mike Skinner did everything, and like I'll never knock people who do that. I guess my thing is I went into it because like he's technically his profession is comedian, and like I go into these things like I'm gonna laugh, like that's just that, and I gave it a fair shot. I'm not like one of these dudes who are like, fuck this. I kind of am. But like in this particular case, I did go into it with a fair shot. I was watching while ironing, and I got like 20 minutes in, and I was just like, I think I text you. I go, I feel like I'm watching Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. I was like, this bores me.
I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
So
and like, I'm not trying to be all high and mighty. Like I don't deal with the type of shit he deals with. Like I can't relate to that stuff, but it's not necessarily like I don't care. Like I'm not like an introvert. So like, I don't get that type of humor. Like I'm isolated. I just can't speak to anybody. So like, to me, I can't personally connect to it.
Well, that's why I'm not an introvert either, but he was forced to be that way. That's why it was breaking him. You know, he was like, he performs for a living and makes people laugh, and he's in his fucking
maybe the fact too, I still had to travel to work. I was still around people the past year. It's not like I was inside, so maybe I couldn't look at it the same way he was. Yeah. I've been around people, so like I'm an essential worker, I guess you could say. So
yeah, it's completely different when people had families and stuff, or like live with a bunch of people, had roommates. When my roommate was in the military, or you were going to work every day. I work now in an essential employee place, so they had 1 week off in March. That was it. And then when I worked in the city, I still haven't gone back to the city. I worked from home from March to December, and it was just fucking awful. And I was like in a condo with a bunch of like 40, 50-year-old people that are like, hey, we might have a glass of wine tonight out on the patio. And I was like,
and you cool. Still joined them, don't lie.
I didn't want to lose my mind. I was like sitting there like, this sucks. Because like the Zoom calls got old. Like that was like a party. And that shit got old like 2 weeks in. That's
why thank God we were interviewing people. It was something different, like every episode. Can you imagine if we just came on all the time and we're like, how is your night going? I'd have killed all of you. I don't care enough how your lives are going, let alone how your fucking night is going.
Yeah, literally yesterday and the day before. Like, it's crazy. But that, like, whatever. I had it good compared to other people. Like, I know people that were in the city and they were in a 600 square foot apartment by themselves, scared to go outside. It's like you can't even hang out outside in the city, really, especially in the winter. Like, what, are you going to sit on a curb?
But yeah, right. To touch on what you were saying, because you're like, you up this a lot. And I've never seen you really hype up like a comedy special that much as far as like something that came on Netflix. Like, why did you like it that much more than like other comedians you've watched? Because you've seen the Chappelle sketch and you didn't hype that up that much. You were like, oh, it's a good comedy special, it's good. So like, why particularly this one?
I love Dave Chappelle.
I think because it just is, well, obviously because of the content. I mean, there's a lot of things that there's one of the songs he has in there, what's the name of it, That Funny Feeling, and it's all about like disassociation from yourself with a lot of things. Like, how I say a lot of times, like, people probably think I'm crazy. You guys probably say like, oh, Brian thinks everything's just a big game.
You really think the world's not real?
No. It's not that it's not real. I think that we are in a very real place. Yeah. But I feel like the system that's been created of make money, spend money, the more money you have makes you a better human being. The less money you have makes you a piece of shit. If you're fucked up in the head and you see life differently than what the system says, you're thrown to the side. Nobody gives a fuck. Just get out of the way. You're slowing progression. I don't feel like that's what we're here for.
Sounds like my manifest. Like my manifesto.
Everyone get out of my way.
When you have that, the thing is, like, when you have that going on in your head, like, it's like a running track. What happens is a lot of times when you see things happen, like, all right, I was actually thinking about this earlier. Do you think that celebrities go as far as faking being married and faking having children just to retain their celebrity status?
No, I don't think that.
I don't think consciously, but I don't think that. Probably. I mean, normal people have kids to save a marriage, right? They they're like, I shouldn't do this, and they fucking do it. I actually know somebody that was recently divorced, and they were married for 8 months. They were together for I don't know how many years, and they were like, even the parents were like, you guys shouldn't get married. And they did it, and they were divorced in 8 months. Like, people just do that. Or you have a kid, it's like, well, our life sucks. Let's have a little shit running around to make things better, which never works. But
I don't think
there's millions of dollars at stake. I mean, that's more likely.
Like, give us an example. Like, what's an example?
So take the Kardashians, right? Because let's be completely honest. They might be talented, whatever it is that they do. I'm not hating on them in any way. But they had a reality show, and none of them did anything at all. But
I never watched. Like, how?
But no. But I'm saying it doesn't matter whether you watched or not. You know every fucking one of their names.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You know every one of their names, and they've done nothing important in society whatsoever.
I would argue Kim has actually done things with the politicians to pass certain laws.
I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about when
In
they
the past.
came up.
Okay.
They were absolute nobodies.
Okay.
Their father was the lawyer for O.J. Simpson. Why does that make them famous?
Because they had money in there in that circle, yeah.
But I'm just saying, it doesn't. They didn't do anything to become famous. So I feel like just kind of having an idea of, like, human beings are not supposed to obtain that level of fame, that notoriety. You're known by millions and millions of people. Like, that's something that we can't even comprehend. So that's a power that takes over your mind. It takes over everything about you, and it influences your decisions, whether you want to say it does or not. There's no way millions of dollars, and you could say one word on one television station and change millions of people's opinions about things. That's power. That you can't even fucking value that, right? Yeah. So wouldn't it make sense that that would influence somebody to say, we need to keep this power? Because we all know kings and queens of Europe and England and all that didn't ever want to lose their fucking power. They still have a queen. In 2021, they have a queen. That's ridiculous, right? So they don't want to lose this power, so they'll do whatever they have to do. They make up these storylines. Oh, we'll have a reality show. We'll make people think we're doing all these things. Okay, so Kim, you put out the sex tape. Oh, how did that get out there? Okay, now we're on the map. Like, and then it's just rolling after that. And you have to top every single one of them. So wouldn't it make sense that ultimately they would be willing to go into an agreement with a celebrity and say, listen, we're going to be married for 7 years. And in that time, we're going to have all these events happen. And it will ultimately lead to the end of the 7-year timeline. And then we're going to divorce. And that'll be another story in its own. And you go your way and I go my way. And we just keep making money.
Maybe. I mean, we'll never know. But I don't know.
But listen, I'm saying all that to say this. When I think about those things and how people get attached to them, you're not attached to a real life. You're not attached to anything that's real. It's all fake. It's fake inside of a fake box. Because out here, the whole thing of, like I said, with money and what you're supposed to be doing in your life and your purpose to serve the system and progress humanity. Like, why is that your purpose? So you fucking start disassociating from that. And that tears kind of at your spirit and at your soul, because it's been ingrained in you that this is the way things are. If you're not married with children by 30, well, you're fucking up. That's what society says. But why? That makes no sense. It's a rule that nobody fucking made up, but everyone follows. Right? We don't give a shit about anything else other than that. We won't help other people. We're all out for ourselves. So it just seems to me that it's just so split. And like I said, when you start disassociating from that, you feel like you're watching a life that's being lived. And are you really in control of your life? Like,
I mean, me personally, I believe I am. I mean, but I get what you're saying. It could be put in your mind to veer right instead of left. But, like, is that what you're going back to? Like, so the Bo Burnham special kind of exposed that?
Not exposed it. It was just one of the songs that I connected with, because all of the terminology he used in the song was very like disassociative and like a form of like derealization. Like, meaning that, like, the life that you live is programmed in you and you're not truly living. That voice that's inside of you that you constantly hear in the background, just telling you things, telling you what to do, anything like that, like your intuition is the real you that can't make it out.
I guess. I mean, I haven't heard it. I'll have to listen to it, but I can see that. Eric, final thoughts on this? What would you give it, 1 through 10?
Well, just to piggyback off that, like that documentary on Netflix, Minimalism. Like, I've always been like somewhat of a minimalist. Some people call it cheap, but I don't care about like I don't care about like physical things. Like, I literally don't care about like a nice. I had like the shitty Lancer from 2006 until last year. Like, I don't care. It brought me where I needed to go. I don't have
You're
nice
frugal,
clothes.
just like Scott.
Yeah, Applebee's, best establishment.
I am very frugal.
Yeah, I spent $100 at Red Lobster. I was like, "Are you guys sure? Like this is Red Lobster." Anyway, but minimalism, like it's a documentary on these two guys made, and they both had like $500,000, $600,000 jobs in the city, and they said when they would get a raise, they had longer hours. So to cheer themselves up, they would go buy nicer clothes, a bigger apartment, a nicer car, go on better vacations. Now they're behind. And then they would work their asses off, get that next promotion. Now I have more money. Now I'm going to get a nicer car, and they said one day this guy like made partner and he went to his office and just cried.
What an exhausting life.
Yeah, that's what like, and that's very that's very northeast as well. Like other like Colorado, Portland, like everyone's like, yeah, it's 4:00. Like we're going home. I'm like, Nancy's going home, and everyone's like, yeah, everybody is. Like, and out here, everyone's like, I realized it when I came back.
You going home, pussy?
Especially like when I worked in the city, people are like, oh, I worked 70 hours last week. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, they're not. Yeah. That's cool, dude. Like, I don't believe in that shit at all. That like unless it's like you're doing it, like you're starting a business or you're working hourly.
Unless you're doing it for you.
Yeah, like an electrician. Like, okay, I'm working Saturday, I'm getting more money and something like that. Yeah. But somebody who's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here in my office till 10:00 and go home. I'm the best employee.
For a business I don't own and never will own.
And they'll give you a 1% raise after the year, and you want to kill yourself. Like it's just so dumb. But yeah, that really highlighted. I felt like that, and that was another documentary. I'm like, okay, I'll just say I'm a minimalist instead of cheap.
Yeah, I'd still go with cheap.
Yeah, but a lot of people really just live like that. Like people are spending $400 or $500 on purses that they don't have enough money left over to put it in the purse. Like it doesn't make sense. And I've never seen a girl be like, damn, she was all right looking, but that purse was dope. Like that's like for women to look at each other and be like, wow, she's got this. And then like the next season, they have to get rid of it. And it's like, it's just, you don't understand. Like, if you have the money, it's for luxury people. Like, what am I going to spend my money on? But like when people are making under $100,000 and they're doing shit like that, and then they're like, I'm in debt. It's like, they're not dumb. They're just like,
yeah, you can't help that shit. Like some people are just bad. Like you can't.
But I mean, like there's this pressure, especially on women, to like have the nicest clothes, the nicest everything. Like guys too, but like
way harder. But it's just way harder to be.
Way harder for women.
Oh yeah,
way harder to be.
Well, that's why that was one thing that I was hoping like the silver lining in the pandemic was a bunch of things. People would stop fighting on the internet. That didn't work.
That did not.
That literally got worse.
I was like, yeah, well, this could kill everybody. Maybe we'll be friends. Everyone's like, who'd you vote for, bitch? It was crazy. but no, like I love seeing people like, yeah, I put on sweatpants and like we'll meet somebody for coffee. Like, I was like hoping that people would still feel like that. Like, I don't need to get dressed up. And now people are like, I can't wait to put high heels on and get dressed and go out again.
Oh,
like,
you said you wouldn't share my text messages.
Yeah. Go to Applebee's and Scott's like,
oh, whatever. I'll have to maybe I'll pick up on it when I have to iron again. I'll finish it up.
Maybe do a less boring activity. Maybe.
Yeah, literally the worst thing you could do while
load 16 tons. What do you get?
I know you don't experiment with the devil's lettuce, but it definitely would help.
Yep.
Expand that mind, Scott.
I'm all right. I can't. I can't.
Yeah, I get it.
Just in case.
You're essential.
Yeah.